What's up, guys? Welcome to Whiskey. I'm Jeff. So today we're going to be finishing off the series that I've been doing recently where I go through all of the open bottles that I have on hand. And the ones we're going through today are from Campbelltown and the Lowlands. And I do have some good ones. Stick around. All right, so Campbelltown and Lowlands is the theme of the day. I have, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 bottles to go through today. Now, Campbelltown and Lowlands, yeah, that's the theme. This is basically just Campbelltown whiskeys. I have one Lowland whiskey on hand. And that's not to say I don't like Lowland whiskeys. I absolutely do. I just never usually have that many on the go. That said, I usually have more than one on the go. So today is a little bit special, but what are you going to do? But listen, as usual, if you want to yell at me down below in the comments, go for it. YouTube loves the engagement. I love the engagement. And all that said, listen, I'll get more. I promise. I just don't have any on me right now, man. Anyway, in light of me only having the one Lowland whiskey, I figured I'd make that one my mystery pour for today. Don't be fooled by the Craigellachie on the glass. This is not Craigellachie. There's a couple reasons for that. One, Craigellachie 13 was my mystery pour in my last video. And two, that would be geographically inaccurate. And if there's one thing that I demand from these low effort videos that I put together in a matter of minutes and do absolutely zero research for, it's accuracy. Anyway, your hint for today is this is a whiskey that I've reviewed before on the channel and I absolutely loved it. It is the only Lowland whiskey that's received a score of 90 points or higher. So it's a really good one. Stick around at the end. I'll share with you what that is. And let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into our list of open bottles. In the meantime, if you'll kindly leave a like down below, that would be greatly appreciated. All right, so we'll start things off with what's, for me, the least interesting bottle on this list, and that is this one right here, Campbelltown Loch. Now, keep in mind, this is also the cheapest and probably the most available bottle on this list, so, I mean, it kind of lines up, and it is by no means a bad whiskey. This is 46% natural color, non-chill filtered, Campbelltown, not single malt, blended malt, so it's all malt, and good flavors. Like, I started off a little bit negative there. It shouldn't have been. It's just not quite as impressive as the single malt stuff out of Springbank, but still really solid and definitely worth the price. And since Campbelltown Loch is out of Springbank, let's keep it rolling with that distillery. And first, we'll start with the unpeated stuff. We've got this one right here. This one is Hazelburn 10, and I really like this one. I don't think this one gets enough love. Definitely Springbank 10 is like the star of the affordable range, and even Longrow I think gets a little bit more love than this one. I think this one deserves more attention. Unpeated, it is at the lighter side of Springbank. I think it's triple distilled? Yeah, triple distilled stuff. So it is softer, but it's got a beautiful silky texture. It has an almost tropical quality to the flavors, and yeah, it's just really good. As far as I'm concerned, this could, depending on mood, rival Springbank 10. I think it's fantastic whiskey, and I think it's often overlooked by the Campbelltown crowd who are looking for, big, funky or more dramatic flavors. This one's just really nice, really solid, really interesting. Next up, we have another Hazelburn. This one is Hazelburn 13 Oloroso cask matured, 9,900 bottles, distilled 2007, bottled September 2020, 50.3%. I don't know much about this bottle because I didn't hunt it down. I was at a whiskey show or a whiskey event, and my buddy Zandy, Malt Daddy on YouTube, if you want to check him out, if you speak Chinese. But my buddy traded something for this, and then I traded something for that, and I ended up with this bottle. It was halfway full at the time, and I have it now, and it's very, very good. Do I know much about it? No. These kinds of bottles, like these special releases or the special cask matured, higher ABV Springbanks, don't really pop up much in Taiwan, so I was just kind of excited to have one, and I'm glad I do. It's really good. All right, so that's all of my Hazelburns out of the way. Now we're going to move on to all of my Longrows, which is just this one bottle. I have the peated Campbelltown single malt Scotch whiskey out of Longrow. Not the most creative name, but this is a very good whiskey. Now, this is the entry level from Longrow. The entry out of Springbank would be the 10. The entry out of Hazelburn is the 10. This one, no age stated. I don't like it quite as much as those other two. But it is very, very good. Of course, we have a heavy peat flavor in here. We also have a little bit of that sort of like Springbank magic, that specific farmy funk. Don't ask me to define it. And it is very coastal. It's a really good whiskey, very bodied. Not my go-to style, which is why I don't like it as much. But if you're a peat head, this probably is your favorite, and for good reason. It's fantastic. Okay, so that was all of my Springbanks that aren't called Springbank, and now we're going to move on to all of my Springbanks that are called Springbank, and we're going to start with Springbank. more specifically the 10-year-old, which is probably the thing you were expecting to see the most on this list, and rightly so. The 10 is beautiful stuff. It is very hyped up, it is very popular, and it can be hard to find, but if you can find it and it's not too expensive, I hope you're not overpaying for your Springbanks. Most people are these days. Yeah, absolutely grab this one. This one has gentle peat. It still has that sort of Springbank magic. It is also extremely bodied. I think we have a little bit of sherry in here. I'm not sure about the cask breakdown. I don't research these videos. Either way, it is a fantastic whiskey and one to get your hands on if you can. Next, we've got the Springbank 12 cask strength. This one I'm sure is very hard to find in most markets as it is here. The last time I saw it, I bought it, and that was years ago, or at least the last time I saw it at a reasonable price. This one comes in at 54.8%. It is much more sherried than the 10-year-old, not quite as sherried as the 15-year-old. Now, this is a batch whiskey. I didn't research which batch this is, but I can tell you that it came out in 2018, so it is on the older side. These have always been the standout when it comes to affordable Springbanks. And yes, there was such a thing. Back in the day, Springbank was affordable and it was available. And back then, between, let's say, the 10, the 12 cask strength, and the 15, the 12 cask strength was always my go-to. Now, cask strength probably was a pretty big factor there, but I also like the way they play around with casks with the 12-year-olds. Really good whiskey. If you can find it, sure, grab it, but good luck. Okay, so that was a bit unexpected. Just now between takes, my ring light over there failed on me, so that's another thing I have to buy, which is always fun. Buying more things after a big move, always fun. But yeah, we'll try and soldier on without the beauty light. Hopefully, it doesn't affect my beauty too much, or I hope it's not a distraction. But yeah, we keep going, and we'll keep going with this one right here. This is out of Glen. This is the Kilkerran, heavily peated. This one is batch 7 at 59.1%. So big peat in here, high ABV, lots of intensity. For me, I wish this was a little bit older. I think the flavors are good. I do think the whiskey is good, but I think it needs a little bit more age to round it out. Still fantastic. And again, just big, intense peat. Not always my go-to style. I'm getting more into it as the seasons change and as it gets colder, but not my go-to style. If you're a peat head, you're going to love it. Peat heads always love these ones. Maybe I'm missing something. I think it's okay, but I don't think it's great. Luckily, the next bottle on this list is something I think is great, and it's this one right here. This one is the 8-year-old Sherry Cask Matured, cask strength, 57.5%. This bottle here is the 2023 release. They put them out every year. We get a variety of casks. We get a bourbon cask, we get a sherry cask, and we get a port cask. I hear great things about the port. I haven't tried it yet. This one is really, really good, but be warned, there is a fair amount of sulfur in this, and it also goes pretty heavy into that like sort of grubby, dirty rubber tire direction. Personally, I think it gives it character, and I don't mind those flavors, but they won't be for everyone. But still, very bold, robust. I don't think I've ever used the term bombastic on this channel. So let's not start now. Either way, really good. Next, we have the standard Kilkerran 12-year-old, and there's really nothing standard about this. This is one of the best 12-year-olds in the game, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love this one. 46%, always natural. Great flavors. For me, I like this every bit as much as Springbank 10. I did a side-by-side video a while back, and I think in that video, on that day, I slightly prefer the Springbank, but give me another day and I might slightly prefer this one. For me, this one leans a little bit more grassy. The flavors they're not the same, but they're not massively different in the sense that if you like what works in Springbank, you're probably going to like what works in Kilkerran. And if you can't find the Springbank 10, the Kilkerran 12 should be easier to find, and oftentimes it's better priced. So this is a great option. It's great as a standalone from Springbank. It doesn't need to be compared to Springbank, but if you want to do that, it holds up. Okay, so we've reached the last of my Campbelltown whiskeys now, and this is another Kilkerran. This one is the 16-year-old. This one was pretty tough to hunt down here in Taiwan and pretty expensive. Usually Taiwan is like much cheaper than other markets when it comes to single malts out of Scotland. This one was more expensive than it sells for in other markets. Still glad to have it. It's phenomenal whiskey. The big issue with this, and the thing that people always carry on about, is it worth the price bump from the 12-year-old? I haven't reviewed this yet, so I will talk about that in my review. You know, I was supposed to review this. I was supposed to do a side-by-side with all my Kilkerrans ages ago. And I told someone I was going to do it, and I'm a liar. because I never got around to it. So I should get around to that at some point. But yeah, for now, this is one I have yet to review, and it's not been in any side-by-side, so I'm not sure if it's even showed up on camera before, but this is fantastic whiskey, and I will be talking about it more in the future. But yeah, for now, good stuff. All right, guys, that was the list. That was all of the open bottles that I have out of Campbelltown here. And I'm going to nip this in the bud now because I know it's coming. A bunch of you are going to be like, where the F is your Glen Scotia? I do have Glen Scotia. I just don't have it here. Anytime I do these videos, I always make sure I tell you guys that this is not all of my collection and that I have a lot of splits with friends that are not here at my home. I have a Glen Scotia 11-year-old white port. That's a special release from 2023, I believe. And the 8-year-old special release from the year prior. That one was peated. Both are phenomenal whiskeys. I do like Glen Scotia. I do drink Glen Scotia. I buy it. I just don't happen to have any here right now. I just figured I'd put that out there before a bunch of you jump on me. Some of you will anyway. That's fine. Finally, if you stuck around to find out what my mystery pour in the glass is here, I mentioned that this is the only Lowland whiskey that I've scored in the 90s. Sorry, this will be noisy. But that is this bottle right here, and it is Bladnoch 11-year-old. Gorgeous whiskey. This is a weird whiskey, and it's not for everyone. It goes a little bit lactic, a little bit cheesy even for some people. 46.7%, fully natural, absolutely packed with character. You won't find another whiskey that tastes quite like this. So, you know, disclaimer, not for everyone. The one I have here is the 2022 release. I also reviewed the 2021 release a while back. Phenomenal whiskeys, worth trying. Try them once. All right, that brings us to the end of this video, and it also brings us to the end of this series where I'm talking about all of the open bottles I have. I think I've gone through pretty much everything I have on the wall over here. Thank you for your patience. The next video or two will probably still be using this set. I apologize. I have moved and most things are set up, but there is just a couple final details that I need to work out before I can unveil the new set. But thanks for sticking with me. Yeah. If you want to help support the channel, Patreon, blah, 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 blah. We'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.